So as you can see, our reviewed and renewed vision for Durham District School Board and the practices in our classrooms, in our school community, is around the idea of Ignite Learning. And we went through a process last year, 2013-14, of engaging with community, engaging with schools, engaging with students and staff around what it means to ignite learning, what it means to engage with our community, what it means to commit ourselves to our values and the things that we believe about moving student achievement and well-being forward, engaging our community, and moving our leadership forward. So these are the commitments that we have. And what we've done is we've tried to capture those commitments in belief statements that articulate and bring those commitments to life. So rather than give you a wonderful lecture about what those commitments look like, what I'm going to ask you to do is to engage in a conversation around those commitments. And you will see that those commitments and values are posted throughout the boardroom here. And you will also have received a lovely little ticket that has a two-sided piece. And so the two-sided piece has images on them that we're going to ask you to use to guide the conversation. And the discussion there that I'm going to ask you to have at that spot is to look at how is it that parents, families, and communities can bring those values to life. Because in order for us to really live those beliefs and act those beliefs out in our classrooms and in our schools, we need your engagement, your voice, and your involvement. Once a parent said to me, well, I didn't see the word parent written in the school improvement plan. And that's not to suggest that there's no entry point for our parents and our families. In fact, it's an assumption that when we write our plans and when we articulate our goals and our practices and our actions, that implicit in that is in fact the fact that our parents and our communities will be involved. So the first question that I'll be asking you is, how is it that you see families and communities engaged in that particular value statement? And we're going to ask you to write those down on the sticky notes and post them on those posters, because what we will do is we will capture all of them at the end, and when we put our summary up on our website, we will be able to capture this is the voice of what our families told us about in terms of how it is that they enter into our plan. So again, we appreciate your input here, and a part of what we do at our regional SCC sessions is to try to model activities and opportunities for conversations, structures for conversations that you yourself can replicate at your own SCC meetings, your parent engagement meetings in your school. It's really important that we highlight our commitments, we highlight the values that we have articulated that are guiding the practices in our schools, but it's no good to have them on a lovely, beautiful piece of paper with wonderful symbols beside them, but we really need to ensure that everyone understands what our commitments are and how it is that we can engage in those commitments. So we will collect these, we will post them as a part of our summary from our evening. This evening we will have the opportunity to continue to explore how some of you and how some of our schools have brought these very commitments to life through the projects that they have engaged with over the course of the year.
Our schools have inherited a rich tradition of parent and community involvement in education that we have an opportunity to build on. Helping parents become involved in their children's learning and in the life of our schools is a key priority of Ontario's Ministry of Education. We, parents, guardians, and caregivers, have a primary influence on our children's attitudes towards school, their learning, and their future success. Research has shown that positive parental aspirations and expectations for our children's educational achievement have a strong relationship with our children's actual achievement. There are many ways we make a difference in our children's success at school. Talking with our children about their day at school, making sure there's a quiet place set aside for homework, reading with our children, meeting with teachers, and being involved in school life are all very important and equally valuable ways we are involved in the education of our students. Just look around the room at all of the stickies we've just put up on the walls. Those are our voices engaging and becoming involved. The more support we as families provide for our children's learning and educational progress, the greater the likelihood that our children will do well in school and continue on with their education. Good schools become even better when there is a strong connection with the parents as part of the learning community.
PICs and SCCs both provide opportunities for parents to be involved in improving student achievement and well-being. The PIC works at the board level and operates under a mandate from the Ministry of Education that outlines 4 specific mandates for us, and I would like to briefly give you just a few examples of how the DDSB PIC carries them out. Our first mandate is to support, encourage, and enhance meaningful parent engagement at the board level. We do this by providing parent feedback to the board on their board improvement plans, EQAO initiatives, and as well as new Ministry of Education initiatives. Our second mandate is to provide information and advice to the board regarding parent engagement. And one way we do that is by sitting on several board committees. For example, we offer a parent perspective on the Parents as Partners and Family Voices committees. We also participate in the annual PIC symposium that is hosted by the Minister of Education. The PIC also presents to the board standing committee an overview of our goals and achievements for the year. Our third mandate is to communicate and support SCCs. And the PIC does this by including an opportunity for area networking sessions where SCCs can share their achievements and challenges with one another. Also, our Volunteer of Distinction ceremony gives school administration, SCCs, and the board an opportunity to thank parents for their dedication to our children and schools. Our fourth mandate is to undertake activities that support your child's learning at school and at home. With your feedback, we arrange for keynote speakers and breakout sessions at our regional and SCC meetings to cover topics such as safe technology use, raising resilient children, online homework resources, and mental health well-being. At the local level, our school SCCs help advise principals on issues that affect our educational programs. And they also organize events and support parent engagement through many initiatives. And we look forward to hearing from 15 of our schools on different ways they fulfilled their mandate of improving student achievement and well-being. As my co-chair, Kat, pointed out, we improve student achievement when we engage parents. Also, while the sole purpose of SCCs is not to act as fundraisers, we have to acknowledge that school libraries, computer labs, sports teams, music rooms, and individual classrooms have greatly benefited from the hard work and dedication of SCCs in support of our school families.
We've given all of this is going to be on the website and like on our DDSB website, and your principal, and I'm fairly certain SCC chair, will also receive this electronically. So all of the links are live, so you can click on it and it'll go right to the ministry location. So the important things here are, it just walks you through it. The key things to think about before you start the process, how to get registered, and it's and how to do it, because it's an online application. And I know when it moved to online, I found that kind of daunting, but it's doable. And there's a technical support number as well to phone. And then on page 6, it gives you some step-by-steps about filling out the application. And we're going to go right online, and I'll show you this. But it gives you some ideas of, well, it lists all the questions that you're going to need to answer, and gives you tips on the budget information on page 8, the eligible and ineligible costs, and then a checklist for doing the grant application and then reporting back to the ministry, because the ministry wants to know what you did with the money so they can be accountable as a public education system. Again, that's done online. So I'm hoping that this is a really great guide to just think about it like a recipe that you walk through each of the steps. The other thing that I have in your package, this is the slide, the PowerPoint presentation that the Ministry of Education sent out to SCC chairs and to school administrators. So it is very similar. A lot of the information is the same as in the application package. It just does tie it to the renewed vision for education in Ontario, which the Ministry of Education has just renewed. And so it's good to kind of know that background and then think about how your parent community can support learning within that vision. So that's sort of to accompany the application package. The other thing that I've given you is the list of approved projects within the board for this year. So the idea is, in particular, this is given to you to stimulate your thoughts. And so if you're thinking about math, well, there's a lot of math ones, and I'll tell you why that's there. But if any of these take your parent to school day. I know there's a presentation of that tonight. If any of these topics interest you, then you know the school. You can call the school, get in touch with the SCC chair or the school administration, and chat with them about what they did. So what we're hoping is that this is a really great way to stimulate some creative thinking among your SCC when you're developing your project idea. And then there are 5 project proposals that were approved, okay? So these are answers to all the questions on the online application that made it through and the ministry approved. So these are here for you, when they say, how do you do it? Well, how did somebody say that? And so there's really good examples of how to answer the questions, okay? So that's your resource package. I've got one other resource I want to share with you. And I'll hand that out a little bit later. So those are the resources. So important thing, deadline, May the 19th. It's after the long weekend. It's Tuesday, May the 19th. The other important thing is to register early. If you're doing it the afternoon, May the 19th, maybe a lot of other people, because this is province-wide, right, that are doing the same thing. So register early, and then you'll know that, that you're on and you can make the deadline. The other thing is what you need to do, and I'll show you this in the registration, is to provide an email address, and then you develop a password. So please share that with, are you all SCC members here? Any school administrators? Okay, all right. So school administrators, if you register, make sure your SCC chair knows, and vice versa. Because we never know what can happen, or you did it at 10 o'clock at night, you just can't remember what your password was. So we've all been through that, right? And you can change your password, but it just